Once, the most beautiful girl in my village, I woke up like this one morning. The day it happened, the sky had no mercy. It was neither bright nor dark, just heavy and strange, like it carried a secret it was unwilling to tell. My name is Adaeze, and for as long as I can remember, people said my beauty was a gift from the gods. Mothers pointed at me and whispered to their daughters, "See, Adaeze, that is how you should carry yourself." Men came from distant villages just to ask for my hand, and elders often praised my parents for bringing such a blessing into our land. But blessings can easily turn into curses. The night before, I went to bed like every other night. I had laughed with my younger brother, Obinna, teasing him about the way he always snored loudly like a stubborn goat. My mother had come to my room, adjusting my wrapper and telling me, "NWAM, sleep well. Tomorrow we shall visit your uncle's farm." There was no sign, no warning, nothing to suggest that morning would change everything. When I opened my eyes, the air felt different. My body was heavy, my throat dry, and my skin did not feel like my own. I sat up and caught sight of my reflection in the small cracked mirror my father bought from a niche market. What I saw made my blood freeze. My once smooth, glowing skin was covered with dark patches, swollen boils rising like anthills. My eyes, once bright and admired, had turned red and watery. My lips cracked, and my hair, my thick, shiny hair that people used to call Ojugo's pride, had fallen in clumps onto the mat. At first, I thought I was dreaming. I rubbed my eyes, splashed water from the calabash, but nothing changed. It was me, yet it was not me. I screamed. A loud, broken scream that dragged my mother and Obinna into the room. When they saw me, they stopped at the doorway as if struck by a spirit. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. "Chinik," she gasped, dropping the water pot she was carrying. Obinna's eyes widened in fear, and he took a step back, as though I had become something unclean. "What happened to you?" my mother whispered, trembling. But I had no answer. By midday, the news had spread across the village faster than Harmattan fire. Women gathered in small circles, murmuring. Children followed me from a distance, pointing, some crying, others laughing nervously. The same mouths that once praised my beauty now spat words like Ogbanj and Aru, abomination. Some said I had offended the gods. Others claimed a jealous spirit had cursed me. A few swore that I must have been practicing forbidden charms to keep men chasing me, and now my charms had backfired. My father, a man of reason, tried to defend me. He shouted at the villagers, saying it was only sickness. He carried me on his back to the dibia at the edge of the village. The old man, Okonkwo, examined me with wary eyes, burning strange leaves and muttering incantations. After a long silence, he looked at my father and shook his head. "This is not ordinary. This girl's beauty was borrowed from the spirits, and now they have come to reclaim it. But something else, something darker, has taken advantage." Those words haunted me. Days turned into weeks, and my condition worsened. My skin peeled, my bones jutted out, and every step I took was filled with pain. People no longer called me Adaeze the beautiful. They called me Adaeze the cursed. Suitors who once brought gifts now avoided my father's compound. Friends who used to braid my hair no longer visited. Even Obinna, my closest companion, began to sleep in another hut, too afraid to share space with me. But what frightened me most was not the villagers' rejection, it was the dreams. Every night, I saw a shadowy woman standing by the river, her face hidden under long strands of hair. She would call my name in a voice like wind. "Adaeze. Adaeze, return what is not yours." When I refused to answer, she would stretch her long, bony fingers toward me, and I would wake up screaming. One night, I gathered courage and told my mother about the dreams. Her face grew pale. She went silent, refusing to look me in the eye. After a long moment, she whispered, "There are things you don't know, my daughter. Things your father swore we would never speak of." Her words shook me more than the sickness. What secret was she hiding? What truth connected me to that woman in my dreams? That night after my mother's strange words, I could not sleep. I kept replaying her trembling face, her unfinished sentence. What secret did she know? Why did she act as though my condition was not just sickness but punishment? The next morning, I noticed my father and mother whispering by the fireplace. When I entered, they both stopped talking. My father tried to smile, but it looked forced. "Adaeze, eat something," he said, pushing a bowl of yam porridge toward me. But I saw it clearly. The way his hands shook, the way my mother avoided my eyes. They were hiding something. By evening, the villagers grew restless. Some elders came to our compound, led by Ozo, the oldest man in the village. He leaned on his staff and looked at me with pity, then turned to my father. "Ikechukwu, we cannot ignore this matter. Since this girl's body changed, our farmlands have suffered. Rain falls at the wrong time, goats give birth to stillborn kids, and children fall sick with fevers we have never seen. This is not ordinary. The gods are angry." My father clenched his fists. "Adaeze is innocent. She is my daughter, not a sacrifice to your superstitions." The men murmured angrily. "Then take her away from here," Ozo said coldly, "before her curse consumes us all." My heart broke at those words. Take me away? Cast me out like I was no longer human? I looked at my mother, hoping she would defend me. Instead, she bowed her head, tears sliding down her cheeks. That night, as the moon hid behind clouds, I woke to the sound of footsteps. My mother was in my room, shaking me gently. "Adaeze, get up. Quickly." "Why, Mama? Where are we going?" She placed a finger on her lips, her eyes darting to the doorway. "Don't ask questions. Just follow me." We slipped out quietly, leaving the compound behind. The air was thick with silence, except for the distant sound of frogs by the riverbank. My mother held my hand tightly, as though afraid I might vanish if she let go. We walked for a long time until we reached the great irako tree near the stream. The same stream where I had seen the shadowy woman in my dreams. My mother stopped there, breathing heavily. She looked at me with eyes full of sorrow. "Adaeze, what I am about to tell you, your father never wanted you to know. But the spirits will not stop tormenting you unless the truth is spoken." My heart pounded in my chest. The wind rustled through the leaves, as though urging her to continue. "You were not born like other children," she whispered. "The night I conceived you, I was barren for 7 years. Desperate, I went to the river goddess, Mary Oma, and I begged her for a child. I promised her something in return, something I should never have promised." I gasped, clutching my chest. "Mama, what did you promise?" Her lips trembled. "I promised her your beauty. She said she would lend it to you, but one day she would come to collect it back." The world seemed to spin around me. My beauty not mine? A borrowed gift? And now the goddess had returned to reclaim it? But before I could speak, the wind grew stronger, howling like 1,000 spirits. The water in the stream began to rise unnaturally, glowing faintly under the moonlight. From its depths, I saw her again, the shadowy woman, her hair long and dripping, her face still hidden. She stepped out of the water, her voice echoing through the night. "Adaeze, it is time." I stumbled backward, trembling, as my mother fell to her knees, wailing. "Please, take me instead. Leave my daughter alone." But the woman's laughter was like thunder, sharp and cruel. What was borrowed must be returned. Nothing more, nothing less. I wanted to run, but my legs felt paralyzed. The woman stretched out her hand toward me again, and the ground beneath us shook. My body burned with pain, as though invisible flames licked my skin. I screamed, clutching my chest. My mother tried to pull me away, but the unseen force was stronger. And then everything went black. In the darkness, there was no ground beneath my feet, no sky above my head, just endless emptiness swallowing me whole. My body floated as if I had no weight, yet every breath felt heavy, painful, like breathing through fire. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. Then, slowly, voices began to whisper all around me. They weren't human voices. They slithered into my ears, hissing and echoing like snakes in a hollow gourd. Some were mocking, some were angry, and some were weeping. Borrowed beauty, stolen time. She was warned. Return what is ours. Let her pay. The voices grew louder, circling me like vultures over a dying animal. I covered my ears, but the whispers came from inside my head now. And then, just as I thought I would go mad, a faint light flickered before me. The shadowy woman emerged from it. But this time, her face was not hidden. Her skin was pale like moonlight, her eyes as deep and endless as the river itself. But her mouth was wrong. Too wide, stretching unnaturally as she smiled, her teeth sharp like broken shells. You should not fight me, Adaeze, she said, her voice calm, almost tender. Your mother made a bargain. You have lived on borrowed beauty, and now the price must be paid. Tears rolled down my cheeks, hot and burning. Why me? I never asked for this. I never begged for beauty. Why must I suffer for a promise I didn't make? The woman's expression hardened. Because you wore what was mine. You carried what belonged to me. Do you think mortals borrow from spirits without consequence? As she spoke, the darkness around us shifted. I saw visions, myself as a child, women praising me, men offering gifts, children staring in awe. But then the visions twisted. I saw those same people turning into shadows, pointing at me, spitting curses, laughing cruelly. I tried to run, but the ground beneath my feet turned to water, dragging me down. Then another voice broke through the madness. A man's voice, strong but sorrowful. Adaeze. I spun around. There, in the shifting shadows, I saw him, my father. But not as he was. His body was covered in ash, his face gaunt, his eyes hollow like someone who had died long ago. He stretched out a hand toward me. Forgive me, my daughter, he whispered. I should never have agreed. I knew what your mother did, but I was too desperate to stop her. Now we are all paying the price. I froze, shaking my head violently. No, Papa is alive. He is alive back home. You are not real. The figure only wept, sinking back into the shadows until he vanished. My chest tightened with pain so sharp it felt like knives were cutting into my ribs. The river woman stepped closer, her cold hand brushing against my cheek. Do not waste your strength. The world you know is slipping away. Soon you will belong to me. I screamed and tried to slap her hand away, but when I touched her, my skin blistered instantly, burning as though dipped into hot oil. I fell to my knees, writhing, as her laughter filled the void again. Sleep, Adaeze, she said. When you wake, you will see the truth. The whispers returned, louder than before. The darkness wrapped around me like a coffin, pulling me deeper, deeper until I could no longer breathe. And then silence. When my eyes finally opened, I was lying on the ground by the stream, the morning sun breaking through the trees. My mother was beside me, still holding my hand, but her face looked as though she had aged 10 years overnight. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her lips cracked from prayers whispered too long. I tried to speak, but my voice was hoarse. Mama, she looked at me with both relief and terror. And then I saw it in her eyes. Something had changed.
Something was different about me.
My mother's eyes lingered on me too long. Not the way a mother looks at her child, but the way someone looks at something unfamiliar, something they don't recognize. Her hand trembled as she touched my face. Adaeze, oh, my daughter, she whispered, and then her voice broke. Confused, I struggled to sit up. My body felt different, lighter but weaker, like it no longer belonged fully to me. Slowly, I turned to the stream beside us. The water was clear, glimmering under the rising sun. I leaned forward, my heart pounding, and looked at my reflection. What I saw made me choke back a cry. The boils, the patches, the sickness, all gone. My skin was smooth again, but not mine. It was pale, almost translucent, as though water itself flowed beneath it. My once dark eyes now shimmered faintly like ripples on a river, and strands of my hair gleamed with an unnatural silver glow. I looked neither human nor spirit. I was something in between. Behind me, my mother sobbed into her wrapper. She has taken part of you. The river goddess will never fully let you go now." Before I could speak, the villagers appeared, led by Ozo and the elders. Their gasps filled the air when they saw me kneeling by the stream, my reflection shifting unnaturally. Some shouted Aru. Some fell to the ground in fear. Children cried, running back toward the village. Ozo's staff struck the earth. "This is no longer Adaeze. The goddess has claimed her. If she stays among us, misfortune will never leave this land." My father rushed forward, eyes wide with horror at my new form, but he still opened his arms. "She is my daughter. Spirit or not, she is mine." The villagers pulled him back, their voices rising in anger. "Send her away. Cast her into the river where she belongs, before we all perish." Tears blurred my strange, glowing eyes as I looked at my mother. She could not meet my gaze. My father struggled against the crowd, shouting my name, but his voice grew faint against their chants. And then, I heard her again, the river woman's voice, rising from the stream, calm and unyielding. "Adaeze, come home." The water rippled, glowing brighter, pulling at me with invisible hands. My body shook as though every bone wanted to leap into the stream. I dug my nails into the soil, resisting, screaming at my mother. "Mama, please, don't let her take me." But my mother collapsed on the ground, wailing, powerless. My father's cries were drowned out by the villagers dragging him back. And as I fought, my strength slipped away like sand between fingers. The pull of the river grew stronger, colder, until my hands lost their grip. With one final scream, I was swallowed into the water. The stream went still, silent. My reflection was gone. And in the village of Umwagu, the tale of Adaeze, the most beautiful girl who woke one morning cursed, was never forgotten. And in the village of Umwagu, the tale of Adaeze, the most beautiful girl who woke one morning cursed, was never forgotten. Some said she became the goddess's daughter, living beneath the waters, her laughter echoing through the ripples at night. Others swore they saw her face in the river whenever the moon was full, her eyes glowing faintly, watching, waiting. But one truth remained in every mouth that told the story. Beauty borrowed is beauty doomed.